What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is gonna be Road to Regionals episode 3. Today is secondary SBD day. For everything today, we have a prescribed intensity of 7 out of 10. Without further ado, let's get to it. For squat today, like I said, prescribed intensity of 7 out of 10. I'm gonna be working up to a top set of 4. And in case you didn't notice, we are at Iron Core today instead of TFX. Not doing anything crazy today, so it makes sense to come to this gym today just to lock in. Something I have to consider when selecting the load for today is the primary. So today's Tuesday, the primary is going to be on Saturday, and I have to pick something that is going to be relative to the primary. So like I can't go too high or I'm going to be fatigued going to the primary. Like say I went all out today, I would be way too fatigued come Saturday because I had all that energy expenditure earlier in the week. But also say if I go too low, then I'm not gonna have enough exposure and I'm gonna go into that session and everything's gonna feel really heavy. So I have to find that sweet spot to give me enough exposure while not fatiguing me too much. I'm gonna go ahead and go straight to 4 reds today. I may have graduated that point of doing a plate in between. Like it used to be kind of dependent on what I was doing for the day, but I think this whole block I've been going straight to 4 reds. So something I mentioned in my last video was that I was using stiff sleeves for my secondary. For the last few blocks, I've been using soft sleeves just because I don't want to have a huge reliance on stiff sleeves. And also soft sleeves, you know, they make you put in a little bit more effort, especially in the bottom position. So if you usually train in stiff sleeves, you may be able to throw some soft sleeves on for your secondary session, and it may help you get a little bit more pop out of the hole. May help teach you to hold a little bit more tension at the bottom. And for the most part, they've been doing really well. But now that this is the block leading into the meet, the idea with throwing stiff sleeves on, like using soft sleeves is going to be more of a long-term reward, right? Where stiff sleeves is going to make you feel stronger short term. So the idea is I'm going to get a little bit more pop out of the hole with these. It's going to be a little bit less fatiguing. It's going to allow me to get that much more exposure while not getting fatigued as much. So theoretically, I'll feel better going into the primary, as well as your movement pattern does shift slightly between wearing soft sleeves and stiff sleeves. Like you're a little bit more confident going into the hole with stiff sleeves, whereas soft sleeves, you have to be a little bit more cautious. And so it is also a skill practice thing too. So it's gonna give me a little bit more practice in the stiff sleeves as well. That's the idea behind that, is I'm just trying to get a little bit more exposure, skill practice, less fatigue, and hopefully that'll make me feel stronger going into the meet. But I am still using my secondary stiffs. I have so many sleeves, it's not even funny. But these are the next level sleeves. They're really good sleeves. Stiff sleeves they're not the longest lasting sleeves. They usually end up ripping at some point. So it's not a bad investment to have a secondary pair of stiff sleeves for maybe your secondary day, so that you're not giving too much wear and tear on maybe like your better pair of stiff sleeves that give you a little bit more pop out of the hole. Because the last thing you want to happen is you're using your primary stiff sleeves every day leading into comp, and then they start getting a tear or something like a few weeks out, and then you're screwed because you can't get another pair of sleeves then, because it takes months to break in a new pair. You don't want to have a brand new pair of stiff sleeves going into a meet. So it's always good to have a secondary pair that maybe you use on a secondary session or something. As well as like if you have a pair of really good stiff sleeves, a secondary pair of maybe not so stiff sleeves may help you, like maybe give you a little bit more of a challenge on that secondary day, as well as, you know, you'll get that much more oomph on your primary day. So I've got 45 loaded up on the bar right now. As long as this feels good, I'll probably load up 530, and then I'll go from there, depending on how 530 feels. All right, yeah, feeling good. It definitely feels heavier than 4 reds felt on my primary session, which isn't a bad thing. Like, you're probably not, like one of the days of the week, your primary or secondary day, you're not gonna feel as good. So it's better to not feel good on your secondary day so that you feel good on the primary day. So still going with the plan A, gonna load up 530 and then see how that feels. And then go up accordingly. All right, last warm up, 529. Should move pretty well. Come on. Man, it feels really heavy on my back, but it's moving well, so can't really complain. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and load up 560. What's interesting about this weight now is it's now an entire red under my max. So last vlog I hit 673, and that is 5 reds, a yellow, and the collar. 4 reds, a yellow, and a collar shouldn't be an issue for a set of 4, right? Not bad. I would say that 3rd rep felt a little bit misgrooved, but I usually try not to say I misgroove anything because I feel like when you misgroove, it's not a misgroove, you just weren't strong enough to hold position. For back downs, I have a 3x6 of high bar at 474, so that's gonna be real fun. All right, so I'm gonna hit this first set and then I'll see you guys for bench. Whew. Okay, so to recap, very good squat session. I felt exactly how I expected to feel, which is decent, not great, like not as good as I feel on my primary sessions. So that's good. I have predictability in my performance, and that's exactly why everybody needs to stick to a consistent training schedule so that your body is used to a certain schedule. Your body expects, you know, a certain amount of exposure one day, and you know, it might be a shock on another day. For example, my usual schedule is Monday through Saturday, right? But the meet is on a Sunday. To prepare for that Sunday, I'm moving the entire week forward a day so that my body is adjusted and has the right amount of exposure going into that meet. Something I noticed was I checked the analytics of my last YouTube video where I had the primary SBD session in TFX, the Road to Regionals episode 2, and I looked at the audience retention level. And so it was pretty normal throughout the whole video, but then when it came to the top set on squat, the retention level just went way up here and then way back down. So I guess you guys just like me for my squat. All right, so like I said, everything today is gonna be a 7 out of 10 intensity. You guys probably think that every day I have in the gym is just an SBD session, but those are the only sessions that I feel like are worth recording sometimes. But I actually kind of wish I had recorded yesterday's session because I ended up having a really good bench day. I did push accessories a little bit harder yesterday, so my pecs are a little bit sore, but usually doesn't seem to affect my bench too much. Today, I'm hoping to feel good. I have a top triple. I'm gonna try and hit 315 as long as I'm feeling good. If I feel meh, I'll probably do 308. Yeah, 2 reds is definitely feeling a little bit heavier than usual, but like I said, got a little bit of soreness in the pecs. Last one up right here, 292. Oh, that was fine. Yeah, that was good. What the hell? All right, so top set, 314 for a set of 3, prescribed intensity 7. But yeah, let's get it. Got Linkin Park blaring in my head. Better smoke this.
That was a little harder than it needed to be.
Yeah, that was more like an 8, but oh well. I got scared after I unracked because as I unracked, I remembered I didn't put the face savers here, so if I failed, I'd be cooked. And that's another thing I'm talking about when it comes to predictability in your performance. Like, this is supposed to be the worst day of the week for bench. So I'm supposed to not feel that great, and that's completely fine. So overshooting today isn't an issue, really, because I'm fatigued from the previous session, and I'm still just getting that stimulus to lead into the primary session, right? So if anything, being more fatigued is just going to nerf me a little bit so that I'm not going too heavy on this day anyways, which can be a good thing to limit you from doing too much throughout the week. Let me put these face savers in so I don't die. So for both squat and bench today, I had percentage-based backdowns. Like, I had basically the backdowns are a percentage taken off the top set, right? So whenever I put the top set in the sheet, it calculates my backdowns for me. And the thing with that is, if you overshoot a top set, like for example, I technically overshot my bench top set today, you get punished on the backdown. So my backdowns now are 275 for sets of 7. So that might be a little bit rough. You know, I got the face savers up, so I'm safe. So I'm gonna try and thug it out, but we'll see how it goes.
Oh man, we might be cooked.
All right, I was gonna ask my coach if I should go down, but mama didn't raise no bitch, so I think I can rock this out. This is gonna turn into one of those subtle foreshadowing videos. You wanna watch this set real quick and tell me if I should go down?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second set?
Yeah, honestly, that moved the same. I think I could knock out another set.
Yeah, you have one more set anyway, right?
Just one more, yeah. All right, so last set, coach basically said stop being a bitch, so we're just gonna send it. Should be fine. Yeah, that kind of just goes to show about something I talked about in my last video, was if you're not going heavy enough or hard enough to drive adaptions, then you're never gonna get better. So I like that today was a little bit of a challenge bench-wise. So today, same intensity, RB7, gonna be working up to a top triple on deadlift. Yeah, let's get to it. I felt a little bit heavy. All right, this may or may not be my last warm-up. I'm gonna see how it feels. Nice, okay. Yeah, I think I'm honestly just gonna load up the top set. All right, top set, 550. Come on. A little harder than I wanted it to be, but it was manageable. All right, so today's backdowns are a little interesting. Instead of having like a percentage-based backdown, I basically have an RPE-based backdown, but sets of Romanians, and it's just one set, because that's all I really need. But since I already have the yellows here, I think I'm gonna load up 440 on Romanians and knock them out. As powerlifters, we're super focused on the concentric portions of the rep. Romanians are really good for getting a little bit of eccentric work. And I use straps for these as a hypertrophy focused movement. It helps to have a little bit more symmetry. You know, having 4 working sets a week with just mixed grip on conventional heavy pulls has, you know, been completely fine for practicing grip strength. Oh, man, I'm cooked. All right, so today's accessories are a little bit of a mixed bag because accessories typically will complement whatever compounds you did for that day. So like if you did bench, it would be more like maybe an upper body workout versus if you did like just squat and deadlift, it would be more like a lower body workout, right? But because today we had a full SPB session, the accessories are kind of all over the place. First of which, we are starting with the pendulum squat, which is my favorite. Something that really helps with progressive overload is if you fine tune the same machines every week and take a note to what setting felt the best, and you keep track of what setting you did the previous week and what load you did the previous week at what intensity. That way you can know the exact setting you had it on, and you could progressively overload that movement. But I'm also all for adaptability, so throwing different movements in there as well is fine, but that is something that I typically like to do. So yeah, I have all these settings saved for the pendulum squat, and I use the same ones every time. It's been working out. And last time I showed you guys this machine, I didn't have my soft sleeves. So today I got my soft sleeves so I can push this a little bit harder. So should be interesting. Oh. Damn, it still feels heavy. I swear guys, I can do more than this. I will say that pendulum squat machine of any kind will humble you real fast compared to a leg press. But again, mama didn't raise no bitch. Need 10, baby, come on. That was better. All right, being objective, I think I can do another 20 pounds. I'm tempted to load up to 25 on each side, but I think it would be too much. All right, last set. I need 10 reps or I'm a bitch. Come on. Oh, that was perfect. All right, so that was a very well-paced series of pendulum squats. Started out like medium intensity and then got up to like pretty much maximum level. So happy with that, and happy I was able to still push it, having my knee sleeves on this time. So let's talk about using straps for back movements. You might think as a power lifter, you shouldn't use straps because you want to improve your grip strength. But the best way to improve your grip strength for deadlifts is by doing heavy deadlifts without straps. I think there's more of a benefit to be had by overloading your back rather than focusing on improving your grip strength during back exercises, because as a powerlifter, having a strong back is very important as well. Just using your grip, you may not be able to focus on the contractions as much, and obviously you're not going to be able to hold on to as much weight and overload those back muscles. Come on. Oh, shit. I don't want to hear anybody in the comments complaining about my form. Okay, so this week is basically the last week to push accessories because next week is going to be the week leading into the meet, right? So that's when we kind of taper things off a little bit. Like we're taking a very minimal taper approach. So I'm actually still going to be pushing the accessories, but not as much as I can push them this week. Like I can afford to push them more this week without any fear of that fatigue bleeding into the competition, right? So this is kind of the last big push before the meet. One thing I've really noticed about when I have a sore chest, actual strength-wise, like pop off of the chest, or maybe just for like if I'm doing one rep, like I don't think the fatigue really leads into that at all. It's when I start doing like more reps. Like if I do a set of 3 like I did on bench today, like that third rep I'm gonna be gassed, like a lot more gassed than if I were to go into it more fresh. Like I think the first rep for the most part would move pretty much the same, but where you can really tell when the fatigue hits is like when I get to that third rep. So I just get gassed quicker. And I can feel that right now during these sets because I have sets of 10 here. And like first couple reps feel really good. And then the last few reps, I'm like dying. All right, last set I'll probably show you guys, and then I have 2 more accessories after this. I just have single leg curls and ab rolls, but I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. Come on, one more. Oh man. I feel like there is a point, especially in any kind of like press movement, mostly like, I mean like bench or like a shoulder press movement or anything like that, where you get stuck like right here or somewhere close to there, and it feels like the bar's not going anywhere. It feels like no matter how hard you press, it doesn't budge at all. But I think when that happens all the time, it's in your head, and if you just continue to push and push and push past that point, eventually you will break past that barrier. So if you ever get stuck like that, just keep pushing until literally your muscles give out. Because sometimes people will get stuck there and then they'll give up, but just keep fighting it. Sometimes you might be surprised when you actually break that barrier. All right, so solid session. Everything moved well. I mean, it moved as it should. Like, yeah, bench was a little bit overshot. Deadlifts were a little bit harder than I expected, but I wouldn't necessarily say they were overshot. But this is the secondary session, so it being a little bit harder isn't a bad thing as long as the primaries are showing up well. But yeah, it was a bit of a rough session just overall. Like, this is probably the toughest day of the week for me. We have the most volume set for this day. You know, I have the full squat, bench, and deadlift session plus like 4 or 5 accessories. So overall volume is stacked. I've been in here since like 9:30 and it's now 2 o'clock and I'm just now getting to my car. So, but hey, I'd rather be here than most other places. You know, this is the highlight of my day. So being in here for 4 hours, like, for me, that's chill. Whereas like a lot of people might be like, you've been in the gym for 4 hours, that's like depressing, dude. I'm like, dude, no, I'd rather be in here. But yeah, I'm gonna recover. I got a rest day tomorrow. I'm starving, but I finished my meal prep yesterday, so now I've got to go home and make food while being hungry, which is never fun. But I'll probably do a full day of eating at some point during this prep, because I am very dialed in on my diet right now. I'm tracking everything. Every minute thing that I intake is getting tracked, like weighed out, measured. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So I'll that'll be on my to-do list. But yeah, I may or may not, I'm gonna try and do some of my other sessions as well, like not just my SBD sessions. I'll probably do some of my bench only sessions, but like I said before, you guys only like me for my squats, so maybe nobody will tune in for those, but I'll still probably put them up anyways, because bench has been feeling really good. I'm kind of inching my way out of that poverty bench status. So yeah, I'm excited for the rest of this prep. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's all I have for you guys, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram or TikTok, same username, Big Nate Energy. If you're interested in coaching, as always, ANN Strength Services, you can follow the link in my bio, just anstrengthservices.com. And you can look at that, fill out the form, and we'll get back to you. But yeah, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.